Well, what I have here is my very own mouse that I use every day. The switch for the left button is just worn out. It's a Logitech M325, and this is probably my fourth or fifth one of these. I guess that makes me kind of fond of them. The fact that it can be bought cheap may have some bearing on that. Many years ago, I pulled one apart and sprayed some cleaner in the switches. It helped for a bit, but the fix didn't last long. So I just bought another M325. I didn't even think about replacing the switches then. I think it would have cost more to order the switches than what I could get a new mouse for. But this time, I'm pretty sure I have in my possession some switches that will fit it. If I remember correctly, I think I had to remove a label to get it apart, and I only see two labels. Okay, it's not that one, just a molding tab. Well, there it is, a tiny Phillips screw. Not much in the way of clips holding it, kinda just hooks up under the front. Not as dirty inside as I would have thought. I'm pretty sure I've had it for at least 3 years, probably more. But I'll brush a bit of the dust and lint out. Looks like some plastic tabs holding the PC board in. Yeah, plastic tabs and the battery terminals, but pretty easy to get out. Okay, I'm going to put a bit of fresh solder on the switch terminals and then a bit of flux. Seems to make the solder vacuum off easier. That should be melting. Uh-oh. It may be a sad day. Almost no heat from the vacuum desoldering gun. And I'm pretty sure this heating element is not available anymore. This thing is about a 30-year-old piece of equipment, so I really can't complain about not being able to buy a part for it anymore. That will be a project for later. Only 3 pins, so plenty of ways to remove it with ease, just not my favorite way at the moment. I'll add some extra flux. Use a bit of heavy copper wire to spread the heat. And it drops right out once the wire makes good thermal contact. If my vacuum desoldering gun has bit the dust, I'm going to have to order some more desoldering braid. Only keep a few feet of it on hand. I just don't use it that often. And after it gets a little age on it, a bit of extra flux makes it work like new again. I'll clean a bit of the flux off and get the new switch. Makes me wonder just how many mice use this form of switch. Now this replacement switch is an actual Omron brand switch. Make sure I have it mounted flush before soldering the other 2 terminals. Looks good. I'm going to replace both the left and right switches. The new Omron switch has quite a bit more click feel than the old ones, and I want both buttons to feel about the same. It's mounted good. I'll solder the other 2 terminals, and that should have it. Quite an amazing little piece of electronics. Has a radio in it, at least a radio transmitter, optical position sensor, and lasts quite a long time off a 1 AA battery. Want to make sure I have the switch in the correct position before pushing the PC board back in place. Don't want to smash that tiny little power switch. Hook the front tabs in place. It should go back together without much force. Move it a bit till it lines up and goes into place. Put the screw back. Put the battery in, and it's ready to go. Mouse seems as good as new, maybe even better than new now. I do like the more solid click from the Omron switches. It probably has a bit louder click, but not by much. I think it's about $7 for 5 of these switches from Amazon, so yeah, I think it's worth it. Cheaper than a new mouse, and less junk to throw away, so good all around. Except Logitech didn't get to sell a new mouse, so they may not agree with that. The old switch has high make on the top, has the terminal indicators on the side, and no part number. But it does appear to be these switches right here. While this M325 is not Logitech's cheapest mouse, it's pretty close, so I would expect these to be some of the cheaper switches out there. Let's take a look inside and see how it's made. Well, I knocked the spring off. I'll have to see if I can get it back on. Okay, had to use the microscope to get the spring back in place, but this is how it works. It looks very simple, but those notches on the post that hold the spring have got to be in just the right spot. The notches are not very deep, so I could see this switch having some problems with a very high impact. Contact on one side is quite smooth. Wouldn't know that it's been hitting a terminal for years. Contact on the other is a little rough. I'm sure it was smooth when it was new. That's probably the problem with the switch. The contact is just worn out. Thank you for watching.